Okay. Podcast
to you our book to movie adaptation of Silver Linings Playbook.
Ray, what you drinking over there? Because you on a level.
Is this Silver Linings Playbook?
Yes, but I'm just saying your excitement level got me ready to go like a rave or something.
Real excited about everything. Okay.
No, bro, what are you drinking though? Because I don't know about lawyer.
I have in my glass Apothic White.
Hold the bottle up.
For some reason, I feel like someone has made me addicted to this stuff.
I wonder who that could ever do that.
And that's it right there. It's Apothic White.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a white blend.
I like that label.
Who would ever do that?
Huh?
I don't know who would ever do that.
Me either.
Bring that bottle around or that brand.
It's very tasty, very tasty. So that's what we are drinking today. Taking us back to Silver Linings Playbook. The author is
Matthew Quick.
Let's go and get started. What y'all think about it? What you think about it?
So I love the book. I thought it was a great story just about mental health and like how trauma can just cause, all of these things to go on in someone's life because, one little incident. And just watching him, the lead character, go through recovering from that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this story.
I really like this book.
I enjoyed it also. I just loved how it just shows that, from trauma, you can grow. You might have a different relationship that you did before, or relationships with other people, but you're still just as important as the next person, whether you're going through a lot or going through a little. So I love this book.
Oh, well, can I just say, since everybody's saying they love the book, that who picked this book?
Yes, it was Treva's pick.
That's irrelevant.
I picked this book.
So not frozen.
Like you can't be frozen moving your eyes, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't ever read the summary. I usually go into it and I don't know what I'm reading. And I was like, what the heck? Oh, okay. That's what I like. That's what I like.
Yeah, I mean, because it was like this story of like he was looking for this silver lining at the end, which he got, but it just wasn't the one that he had the one that he wanted or he thought he wanted. So, I just thought it was a great story on how you just need to embrace what's put in front of you because,
Exactly. What you thought it was going to be may still be good, but you got to be open to it to receive the good that's coming to you and accept maybe a different line in the North Silver Street than others.
Okay, so great. Okay. Thanks for that sermon.
And just so you know, when we go into the movie adaptation, David O. Russell was the person responsible for that movie.
For the screenplay.
Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Gotcha.
So, drop the mic. Did she pose like she dropped the mic?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so let's move into this adaptation. So before we get started, I guess we'll just let the viewers know that we all had some questions and some things that we didn't like about the change from the book to the movie. So we actually reached out to the author, Matthew Quick, who is so freaking awesome.
Yes.
He was
and so we asked him 4 questions, although I wish I would have asked more.
Yeah, so many you could ask, but
right. But he responded in so much detail. So I guess as we go through talking about some of the things that we didn't like, I'll give like his response to some of the things that we'll talk about. So anyway, with that said, what you guys like or not?
Okay, so wait. The book is one part in the book that I was so confused and thought it was super hilarious once I realized what he was saying, which is the part-time. When I was reading the book, I'm just like, what is he talking about?
Oh, part-time.
So once I got it, I was like, oh.
Like separation time, apart time. Because he was talking like he was 5 years old, right?
Swear to God.
Did you think he was referencing Africa?
I don't know.
Part-time, yeah, right?
Had no idea. Like, what are you talking about? Part-time what? Job or what are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that was crazy.
I hated when it went from Stevie Wonder to Kenny G. Because My Sharia More is like one of my favorite songs ever. I mean, in like the Black community, it's like a staple. Like you can't not know it no matter how old you are.
right.
The song is amazing. And so when Kenny G was like the subject of conversation, I was like, wait, what? Why would you play Stevie Wonder? And we actually asked and reached out to Matthew Quick. And Treva, I'll let you read his response to that question.
Yeah, so it's great. That was something that bothered me also, Lynn. So what Matthew Quick indicated was that David O. Russell, who was the screenplay writer, he received the pre-publication manuscript of the novel, and it was actually originally My Sharia More in the original book, but Matthew was having a difficult time getting Stevie Wonder's publishing company to release the lyrics so that he could put it in the book. So they didn't have permission to put those lyrics in the book, and so he and his wife decided, why don't we just put a song as a trigger song that has no lyrics? So that's how they ended up selecting Kenny G. So it's interesting because in his response, he was like, he didn't even know if David Russell even realized that the original song was changed from My Sharia More to Kenny G because he had the pre-publication of the manuscript. So that was so nice to hear because I'm just like, that was such a stupid choice. Like,
why? Number one note.
Like, why? Why did you do that? Why?
Right.
Because I don't even think about the fact that, you watch all of these, you read these books, you watch these movies, and sometimes I do forget that, wait a minute, if this song was in there, they had to get permission. And for me, I don't know, maybe it has to do with money, I don't know, but I'm thinking, you have a book that's out there forever that is also referencing your song. It can also get you, there could be an audience that never heard that before that might say, hey, let me hear what this song's about. Or they make a movie of it and then, you get, your song is just reinvigorated. Not that isn't a classic, but you know what I mean?
Right.
I just completely forgot that you actually had to get permission for things like that. You can't really talk about it. And so when I got the response from Matthew Quick, I was like, oh yeah, you have to go through that extra hurdle to get that into your movie, darling.
Just because you sing it in the shower, it's not your song, right?
Hey, my concerts are amazing in the shower and in the car too.
That's so funny because I was coming all prepared to be like, I don't know why they changed the song. That was ridiculous. Like, y'all were gonna get a bunch of that. So I'm glad he was able to give us that response.
That insight was really, really good.
So I guess one of the other things that I don't know if it bothered you guys, but that was driving me crazy was the way that they incorporated Danny into the movie, which is Chris Tucker's character in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So in the book, Danny, the character Danny, was someone that he met the lead. I'm sorry, what's the lead character's name again? Pat. Pat met at the home or the institution that he was in, and then he had some flashback memories of him. So I felt like they could have just used Chris Tucker with some flashback memories, but they didn't. And then in the book, it ended with this miracle of, oh my gosh, your long lost friend. And it was kind of, I don't know, it was like this heart-wrenching moment for me.
Right.
And in the movie, Chris Tucker was throughout, and he was kind of showing up and escaping the hospital. And I mean, love Chris Tucker to death, but
every one of these changes that we're talking about now just completely destroyed the suspense and the feelings in the entire freaking movie.
Right.
The whole movie.
Yeah. So, so that piece bothered me. And then what did Matthew say about that? Because I did ask him that specific question.
He said basically when you get a A-lister, you don't want to not give him lines, basically.
Yeah.
Although we see now all the time they have A-listers that die in the first 3 scenes.
Right. Most Dangerous Game, right? Or The Hunt or whatever.
Right, The Hunt.
So, but yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're paying Chris Tucker, you might as well use him as much as you can in the movie. But I would have preferred character or not.
No name.
Or do like you said, and every time because Pat referenced these conversations that he had with Danny in the hospital all the time. It would have been just as easy to, instead of necessarily him referencing it or he referenced it and you have a little bit of conversation about it with him in his mind, like if it was a past, so that you could still get some lines in there. But this whole Danny all cuddled up with Daddy and
Anybody else got any feelings on that? Chris Tucker or Ray kind of summed that up.
Well, I thought it was funny when, at least in the book, before we knew it was going to be Chris Tucker and he was going to have all these lines, I thought it was funny that he referenced his black friend, every 5 seconds. Yeah.
That's because they were those typical Jersey boys.
Speaking of Jersey, so one of the things that I was a little bit disappointed about in the movie was they were doing a lot in Baltimore, and between Baltimore and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, going back and forth, and when they were in Ocean City and in Maryland, they showed none of it, and so it was we're both Marylanders, we matter. Right. I just really wanted to see something Maryland, not just you picking him up and leaving. I know it's irrelevant, Rhea, but shout out to Maryland.
They showed the street sign, Lynn. They showed Baltimore.
Not enough.
The road sign.
Not enough.
I missed that.
Maryland was not throughout the book. I agree. They should have showed us at least a crab.
Something?
The flag or
something. Bay in the corner or something like that. But I just, being from Maryland, I was just what? Just show something about us. We matter. Right. Irrelevant, but I was
I don't actually think that was irrelevant. I'm just so pissed off with this stupid adaptation.
Okay. All right. So one of the other questions that I asked Matthew about was bringing in Nikki. And how did you guys feel about? How did you guys feel about Nikki showing up in the movie?
After her showing up, did you think that Tiffany purposely messed up the lift so that it seemed to be a little bit more sexual in front of Nikki in the movie? Because in the book,
a dancer.
Oh, I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, I didn't pick it up either.
I missed that. Sorry.
Because before she looked over at Nikki and because he was down at his stance, squatted down, and then she was looked over at her and then ran and jumped, and then when she jumped, she came down, she was embraced versus how they normally look when they rehearsed it. So I was maybe am I over sexualizing this thing, or did I actually see her mess up the lift? So it seemed like they had more of a tighter connection. There's more sexuality.
Well, that would make sense because she was at the bar. She was very upset that Nikki was there. So, I mean, I could see that.
Yeah.
I also don't like the whole point thing. What? Anyway, they practice this scene, and all of a sudden you get there and you can't do it when you were doing it before. I mean, I honestly thought she jacked up when she got up on the shoulders and stuff because she was a little drunk and tipsy and blah, 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 blah. But I'm just that whole Nikki, why?
They messed up the whole thing because the whole point of this whole thing was, what's Jennifer Lawrence's character's name?
Tiffany.
She came up with this elaborate scheme to get him to do this.
Dog, she's a schemer.
She's a genius.
Yeah, go ahead. I was
scheme. And to have her Nikki actually show up at the competition was just ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. I was shocked. I was wait, why is she there?
It didn't fall into his whole psyche.
Right.
And he figured it out when he first got the letter that she wrote.
No. Right.
He wasn't even rational enough to think that at this point in time. All he cared about was her. And so now it seemed he just kind of left her instead of, wait, I love her. And you know what I mean? I'm just,
right. When the whole book was all about Nikki, trying to get back to Nikki. The fact that he saw her, he would have fell apart, trying to go at.
Yes. That's what bothered me in the movie because it was very important for him never to see her. Right. He had to come to terms with the fact that she was no longer in his life. And there's no way that Pat in the book could have handled Nikki at that recital.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I don't like how they brought him and his dad like they were besties the whole freaking time either. They cut out the whole mom forcing them to come together, and yeah.
Right.
And then the brother and his wife.
So let me just tell you what Matthew said about Nikki. So he basically said that he wasn't sure why David, who was the screenplay, wanted Nikki at the dance competition, but his guess would be that he felt he needed a visual representation of Pat finally letting her go. That scene where he whispers in her ear, the movie had to visually show everything.
No, it didn't.
And so he was basically saying because the novels had to be condensed into 2 hours, some scenes are combined. So rather than having a scene where Pat and Tiffany dance and then another scene where he lets go of his wife, he combined those 2 aspects together.
Well,
for
how
the
about
climatic scene at the end?
That does make sense.
You have to do that. But
how about you take away 4 or 5 scenes in the house talking about the betting, and how about you take away some of that crap,
Right.
and get back to the real point of the story?
Right.
yeah.
I don't know how. It's so cute because I think, I always think to myself how these authors really can take some of the changes, because for this just changed the
Whole thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to do it. I want a do-over. They have all these other shows where they do, they redo it, and now this one sticks true to the, go back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
I agree with you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Champagne.
It's funny because I saw this movie years ago when it first came out. Didn't realize it was a book at the time, and I was kind of confused on the movie. I kind of got it for the most part, but I'm like, I feel like something's missing. Like, I don't understand what the point was. But now reading the book obviously is so much better. It filled in a lot of gaps.
Yeah.
That will be left out.
For me, back to your comment about the father-son relationship, that piece bothered me so much. But I'm such a big Robert De Niro fan, and he nailed the direction that the director wanted him to go in that movie.
Nailed it.
But he also could have been the grumpy dad with no, he would have nailed that also. So
he would have killed that. Yeah.
He would have killed that, right?
Killed that.
I don't know why they changed that piece either. I was disappointed in that relationship piece.
I'm sitting there watching, like, why is he talking to him? Why is he talking to him?
I couldn't wait to see, him sitting in a dirty, filthy house pouting because he could play that so well, while the mom was just like, yeah, clean this shit up yourself.
Right.
That's for you, till you do what I say. Exactly. I was going back to Champagne when you mentioned not getting the book because they're
not getting the movie.
Extra folks getting the movie. Extra folks in my house that watched the movie because I said that's when we were getting ready to do, and they didn't take the time to read the book first. But I won't go there. And they were like, "Can you tell me what that movie was about?" Like, I just read it,
right.
And I'm like, "Read the book just like we did."
Right.
Then come back to me.
Because you would not understand.
You felt the same way.
Right. I had no idea what was going on.
I'm gonna need another drink, David.
All right. So the last question that I asked Matthew Quick was about the brain trauma. So in the book, Pat didn't remember what he had done to Nikki.
Yeah.
The book was this buildup of we didn't know what he did.
We didn't know.
It was kind of this suspense of well, what happened? What in the world? Did he kill somebody? Or, we just had no idea. And so it was nice
what did he do?
And
that was my biggest issue. My biggest issue.
What did he do?
Exactly. And then watching the therapist sort of help him work through and acknowledging this. I love that part of the book. And
another clip was good too.
Ripped that from us in the movie because he knew.
He went into the therapy session and just spilled his guts. Well, I did this, and I'm like, wait, what? You don't remember that you did that yet?
Yeah, it was taboo. Because remember, Dr. Cliff wasn't even going to talk to him about it. He never said any, and which made Pat like him. Remember, Pat was worried about going in and talking to him. But when he realized, wait, we went an hour and he hadn't brought up nothing.
Right.
I like this dude. Dr. Cliff was gypped on this whole movie too.
And I feel like Pat in the book was not looking forward to his sessions, but looking forward to going to a session so that he could end a part-time. That was his goal. He was like, all right, I'm here. I'm doing this therapy. That way I can get back to Nikki and the part-time can be over. But in the movie, it was like, why the hell am I here? What do you want? Go ahead and talk about it. I'm gonna look all grungy and like mad at the world for no reason, but I know what I did. Versus, I don't know what I have to do or what I did, but I have to do this to fix what I did in the book. So I didn't like how that kind of persona changed.
I did not like that dynamic at all. But I'll just say that Matt said that David Russell, for personal reasons, wanted to establish right away that his version of Pat's struggle was of a bipolar diagnosis. So he also said that he gave a lot of interviews about this. So I have a note to myself to go back and look for the interviews because I'm curious. Maybe he experienced someone in his family that has bipolar, but he intentionally moved it away from brain trauma to a bipolar type diagnosis. So that was intentional. I don't know why, but
I kind of like that the mental disorder over like a brain trauma. That way, it's not giving a reason. Because like a brain trauma is like you hurt yourself, you have a reason. Mental or like a mental illness versus like being bipolar. There's no cause to it. Your chemistry is off, and you are who you are, and you have to learn to live with it. Versus
you had it for a while, right? Like a mental disorder, you had it, right?
Yeah, it festers and gets worse because the chemistry of your body changes.
Usually about
over time.
Got it.
Yeah. Versus like you're here, you stop, and then you become something different. And I do like that it was a mental disability or a mental illness versus like a traumatic injury for that reason. It changed the dynamic, but I kind of like that. Like it made people not feel as like alone. Just there's so many different illnesses like being depressed and bipolar and everything that like are so obsolete in conversation that changing that for like I feel like it's for the better.
Yeah, I don't mind the mental illness, but I feel like they still could have had him suppress the incident, right?
That's what they do.
Oh, fully.
They don't even remember half the time. They're like, "What? I didn't do that. What are you talking about? Huh? I didn't do that."
Exactly.
I also hated the scene when he found Nikki. I'm like, first of all, this chick got underwear and all this stuff all over the place. You didn't just figure out she was with somebody else when you got up to that daggone bathroom. Like, really?
And like in a whole shower. Like, come on.
Right.
It should have been a real surprise scene. Like, I walk in the house and I can hear the music. Shucks now.
Right.
That.
First of all, any man that heard like their wedding song and their wife in the shower is gonna be like, all right, let me jump on in here. Open the shower curtain fully dressed, like, oh, there's a guy in here. Well, why aren't you naked? Come on, man.
Right.
And so they pick somebody a little bit more attractive. I mean, come on. Was Nikki crazy?
Yeah.
I know, because like when your husband is who it was in the movie.
I mean, Bradley Cooper on a rough day, I'll take it.
Exactly. Like, you gotta step it up. You got Bradley Cooper. You're not leaving Bradley Cooper
even this whole trash bag outfit. I'll still take it.
Yeah.
Trash bag outfit.
I'll take the Stars Born.
Books at 2 a.m. I'd have took all that.
Okay. Right.
Stars Born, Bradley.
I just be like, all right, come over here. Come on.
Right.
So what about the oatmeal scene? I know Ray is going to say it's irrelevant, but I thought it was so cute in the book when he was like, he didn't know if he was going to have it because he didn't know how much money he was going to have, and then like that's why he ordered the oatmeal. But then in the movie, you're just like, okay, well, why is he ordering oatmeal? Like, there was no context.
And it was Raisin Bran or whatever. I was
like,
so
yeah, that's
strange. You ain't asked oatmeal for the approval?
Right.
That's all emotional.
I mean, because part of that to me was the injury that was wrong with him didn't coincide with him necessarily not knowing how much money. Everything was just completely thrown off.
That's true.
It was just so stupid. But we tell you, it was Ernest Hemingway who he was fussing about at 2 a.m. and the end of the book? Wasn't that who he was fussing about? That scene, it was so on point. Like,
oh my god, the 2 a.m. scene.
So on point.
I actually wound it to watch it again because I was just like, that is so accurate.
Yes,
so accurate.
I mean, I think that leads a little bit into the casting. Like, talk about a star-studded. I mean, every single character was cast perfectly to me, all the way down to the therapist because I love all of these characters. Just didn't like the change in the movie.
I didn't like Mama. I didn't like Mama.
Oh, I like her.
Jackie Weaver.
Yeah, I like Mama.
I like
didn't
Mama.
like Mama.
She had like her little like tease up. It looked like swooshes and stuff. Like, go ahead.
70s mom.
Yeah, that little trap between like the late 70s, early 80s. Like, yeah, you go ahead. But you still baked all that Italian food, don't you?
Basically.
Right?
And then she was even teaching Chris Tucker.
Yes,
Right?
she was.
Don't talk about him anymore.
One funny part I just wanted to mention because I had it written down is when I was he said that part of the reason that Nikki left and wanted to part-time was because he gained 10 to 70 pounds. I was dying. Nobody
70.
says 10 to 70, maybe 10 to 20. He said 10 to 70 pounds. That's why. So he needs to
I'm going
lose
to
weight.
take a 10 to 70 pound fat Bradley Cooper. I am going to take that.
Yeah.
So, Champagne, I am going to jump on your boat about the pounds because you feel like maybe it was irrelevant. I don't think it was irrelevant. I think it was ridiculous. But how about he was only gone 6 months as opposed to like years,
Right.
4 years?
Oh, that's true.
That was so annoying to me.
8 months versus 4 years.
4
Remember,
years.
he lost time. That was crazy. I don't understand the changes. I really don't.
In the movie, they said 8 months.
Yes.
Yes.
I missed that.
Mhm.
Yes.
And the
That's
book
why
was like,
that's why there was
wait,
nothing to change.
She had gotten married. She had moved
Right.
on. Like the
Stadium-
family people got married. He missed weddings. He missed kids being born. And I mean, like, I'm sorry, but yeah, a kid can be born in 8 months, but like, it's not kids plural.
Right.
The
He
family.
missed the Eagle Stadium being
Gone.
destroyed
torn down.
and built a new one. Like
Rebuilt.
he missed everything,
Right.
which made him even more lost. Like he
Which
was
makes
lost when
sense.
he came.
It made so much sense in the book. It makes no sense in the movie.
Yeah, I think it wasn't a good adaptation, but Matthew Quick, this was a phenomenal book. I just love the story. He has a lot more books out there, so I'm hoping that more get made into movies, so we can review more of his books.
And if they do, fight to keep it the way you wrote the book, please.
And thank you for responding and sending us the email.
Taking the time.
Here's to
Yeah.
you. Here's
So
to
the
you.
other thing that I'll mention is that he did say that it's hard, Ray. You had mentioned about the whole taking the adaptation. He mentioned in his email that it's really hard to let go because it's kind of your baby.
I would no one want to work with me because I'm like, no, you're not changing
Right.
that.
Exactly. Like,
No.
okay.
It's my baby. Wait, who wrote the book?
Take back your contract. You would
Like,
not make
you would not have a screenplay unless I wrote the book.
Right.
The book is the
Don't
screenplay.
do any more hers.
The book is the screenplay. Period.
I can imagine that would be hard though. Somebody changing up your story.
Yeah. Especially like when, I mean, these authors put like years and like so much of their time and effort and building and developing the characters and the plot and then putting them all together and seeing your baby just out there and then somebody being like, oh, no, scratch that scene, scratch that scene.
Right.
Not scratch scene, scratch, 90% of the book.
Right. Exactly.
I actually wanted to mention that the one scene that I did like that when they added in was when they had to get the 5.0 to like actually qualify to the next level.
Oh yeah.
And how like all the people were standing there like, you had a 5.0 and they're like, ah! It's like that fully would have been me. I know that scene was different with like them being at like the bar and versus like at the game and whatever. But the whole point of like, 4.7, 4.7, 4.9, and then them like, oh man, we're not gonna do it, we're not gonna get it. And they're like, oh, and you got a 5.0.
Right.
Lost their mind. I love
Save the day to save dad's debt. When the brother was supposed to be
but it
filthy
showed the camaraderie between the family. So that's a scene that I would love to be in the book too.
Right.
Yes.
All the rest of it could have stayed out, but that scene I would have liked to be in the book.
Right.
Right. I agree. All right. Well, y'all ready to rate this adaptation?
Yes.
I'm ready. And we can't go lower than a sip, right?
We talked about this and no.
No.
So you get a sip. One sip from Rhea.
One sip from champagne. Couldn't do
I'm
it.
giving it a half glass because I like the movie and I like Matthew Quick, and I think that it wasn't horrible, but it could have been better.
I'm gonna give it a half glass. Also, the book was good. Thank you, Matthew Quick, for a good book and responding. But also the movie, there's some parts that did come through, but they left so much out that I can't give it more than a half a glass.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna lose consciousness pretty soon.
Exactly.
I love the movie, but it wasn't the movie from the book.
Right. Yeah, but the casting, like, oh, I love the casting. Anyway,
That casting.
I just want a do-over. I want it done over. You can keep
same
it.
cast.
Let's do it again.
Right.
Right.
Give me my book back.
All right.
Okay, well, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Be safe out there. Be safe out there. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. 6 feet. 6 feet.
Oh.
6 feet. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask.
Bye.
Six feet.